And now for our second honorary degree and this morning's commencement speaker, a lifelong learner committed to intellectual inquiry, educational access, and academic excellence. Brian Greene is a leading theoretical physicist and sought-after communicator of groundbreaking scientific concepts. Described by the Washington Post as the single best explainer of abstruse concepts in the world today, Greene is the author of 4 acclaimed books that have collectively sold millions of copies worldwide. His latest best-selling release, Until the End of Time, is a breathtaking exploration of the cosmos and our quest to understand it, and was named to one of the 100 notable books of 2020 by the New York Times. Greene's books have been adapted into 2 Emmy and Peabody Award-winning Nova miniseries, both of which he hosted. Along with journalist Tracy Day, he is the co-founder of the World Science Festival, whose flagship events in New York and Australia have reached over 2 million people in person and more than 50 million experiencing its program online. Greene is a frequent television guest, having appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert many times, and even playing himself in an episode of The Big Bang Theory. He has also made cameo appearances in several Hollywood films, including Frequency, Maze, and The Last Mimsy. A Harvard graduate and a Rhodes Scholar, he currently serves as director of Columbia University's Center for Theoretical Physics. As a scholar, teacher, and communicator, Greene has dedicated himself to uncovering the wondrous mysteries of the universe while promoting equitable educational access through his prolific writing and media appearances. Through his radical openness to the world around us, Greene embodies the Catholic, Jesuit, and Marymount intellectual tradition of immersing ourselves in the sacramentality of the world and finding God in all things. For his remarkable achievements, Loyola Marymount University is proud to bestow on Brian Greene the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of the state of California and by the trustees of Loyola Marymount University, I now confer on you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining to that degree. Congratulations, LMU Dr. Brian Greene. Graduates, families, and friends, I am pleased to introduce our commencement speaker, the one who extols exospheric excellence to the nth degree, the man who is largely comfortable at 10 to the negative 35 Planck distance meters, the incredible LMU Dr. Brian Greene.
Yeah, 10 to the minus 35 is close enough, so thank you so much. What an honor. President Snyder, President-elect, and Provost Poon, Executive Vice President Ray, and Chair Viviano, families, friends, faculty, distinguished guests, and of course all of you, the 2025 graduate and law school classes of Loyola Marymount University. It is my great honor to share this special day with all of you, and I trust that at least a few of you remember a film from a while back featuring a sophisticated master chef who's also a rat. And in that film, there's also a curmudgeonly critic named Anton Ego, who extols the virtue of what he refers to as fresh, clear, and well-seasoned perspective. Perspective which in the film ultimately profoundly shapes that character's view of the culinary world. Well, this morning I would like to share with you what I consider to be fresh, clear, and well-seasoned perspective, not relevant to culinary matters per se, but rather relevant to our sense of who we are and what matters most. It's a perspective that I and others too call the cosmic perspective. It's many generations in the making, but it really began to take flight 100 years ago this very decade, in the 1920s, when two advances catapulted our understanding forward. These were quantum mechanics, giving us insight into the smallest things, molecules, atoms, subatomic particles, and also the general theory of relativity, giving us insight into the largest things, stars, galaxies, the universe as a whole. Now, it was Albert Einstein who played a key role in each of these developments. And Einstein, he had his own iconic way of providing perspective. One saying that there are only two things that might be infinite: space and human stupidity. And Einstein added he wasn't sure about space. Now, that remark, humorous as it is, can really be viewed in a sense as the beginning of the cosmic perspective, a view in which we leverage our insight into the universe to shed unmatched illumination on the lives that we live in the here and now, allowing us all to grasp how we fit into a larger cosmological picture, how we fit into the grand expanse of space and time, or as Einstein himself said it in a more serious vein, those for whom the emotion of the unfathomable is a stranger, those who can no longer take in science fully and stand in rapt awe, Einstein said they are as good as dead. Now, a little Einsteinian hyperbole for sure, but nevertheless, as we briefly tour the cosmic perspective this morning, I implore all of you, the living, to allow these ideas to seep in fully, all the more as we recognize, as I'm sure some of you already know, that while it was Einstein's insights that laid the groundwork for our understanding of the cosmos, it was a Jesuit priest named George Lemaitre, who also had a PhD in physics from MIT, who deserves the lion's share of the credit, because it was Lemaitre who first used Einstein's math, not Einstein. Lemaitre used Einstein's math to catch a glimpse of the possibility that space might be expanding, a result that Einstein called abominable. Because Einstein, he had a philosophical prejudice that the universe has always been here, that it is fixed, eternal, static, and unchanging. But Lemaitre, he was not intimidated by the world's greatest scientist. He pursued this idea, and just a few years later, astronomical observations that took place 57 miles from where I am now standing at Mount Wilson Observatory established that space is expanding, revealing that our dynamic universe began 13,800,000,000 years ago, a duration that is so enormous that it is hard to understand what it really means and how we all fit in. But a while ago, the great astronomer Carl Sagan gave us an insightful way of thinking about it, which goes like this. Imagine with me, imagine that all of cosmic history from the beginning until today is compressed into a single calendar year, in which each day on that calendar represents about 40 million years. Then in this scheme, the Big Bang happened on January 1st. By January 26th of the cosmic calendar, gravity pull together particles into the first stars. And this process, repeating over and over again by May 15th, yields all the stars of our Milky Way galaxy. And by September 4th, some leftover particles coalesce into the early planets, including our planet Earth. And by December 3rd, some of the most refined collections of these particles give rise to the first multicellular organisms on Earth. And through evolution by natural selection, by Christmas Day, December 25th, we have the first dinosaurs and the first modern humans. Well, they appear at 11:40 p.m. on New Year's Eve. And from here, the rest is a flash. 11:44 p.m., we domesticate fire. 11:58, the first cave paintings. At 11:59 and 49 seconds, we invent the first alphabet, which means all of recorded history takes place in the last 10 seconds. I mean, think about what that means, right? 11:59-54, the rise of the Buddha. 11:59-55, the fall of Rome. 11:59-58, the Renaissance. And finally, 11:59-59, 1 second to the stroke of midnight, we invent modern science, allowing us to figure this all out with a key part played by those astronomical observations establishing that there was a Big Bang, made by Edwin Hubble, an Oxford-trained lawyer who changed careers to become an astronomer, which to me establishes there's hope for everybody. Said with the greatest of affection to the law school students. Now, accompanying these cosmological highlights were vital cognitive developments that allowed us to not only figure out our past, but at least in broad brushstrokes to predict our future. And so let's now turn to that future, and as we do, a new principle comes into play. It's called the second law of thermodynamics, but for our purposes, it simply says that in the fullness of time, all things fall apart. So let's now look at that cosmological dissolution. And the timescales involved are extraordinarily long. So we need a new metaphor, not one based on time like the cosmic calendar, but rather one based on space, on distance. So imagine that every floor of the Empire State Building represents a duration that's 10 times that of the previous floor. So the ground floor, 1 year. Next floor, 10 years. Next floor, 100, and so forth. Now, in this scheme, everything from the Big Bang until today extends to just above the 10th floor. And from here, we climb exponentially far into the future. By floor 11, the sun will swell to over 200 times its current size, engulfing the inner planets, possibly the Earth. By floor 12, the ever-quickening expansion of space will drive the distant galaxies away faster than the speed of light, leaving us floating in a sea of darkness. By floor 14, most stars will use up all their nuclear fuel. They will fade to black. By floor 20, if the Earth wasn't swallowed up by the swelling sun on floor 11, the Earth will now spiral into the dead sun, having lost energy through gravitational radiation. By floor 30, stars will spiral into their galaxy's central black hole. By floor 38, protons, the heart of matter, will likely disintegrate, showing once and for all that diamonds surely are not forever. By floor 50, any thinking structure that happens to still exist will burn up in the entropic waste, the heat created by the very process of thought itself. One more thought and that thinking structure will fry. Between floors 68 and the peak of the Empire State Building, black holes, the one remaining macroscopic structure in the universe, they will disintegrate. They will evaporate through a process that Stephen Hawking taught us about back in 1974, disintegrating into a bath of particles that will waft through an ever larger, ever colder, ever quieter cosmos. As Beckett said, they give birth astride a grave. The light gleams an instant, then it is night once more. Or Nabokov, existence is a brief crack of light between two eternities of darkness. So what then do we make of all this? Well, one way of looking at it is that in your darkest hour, however bleak and insignificant your life may have seemed, you now realize it is yet more bleak and insignificant. But the cosmic perspective, set against the entire timeline of the universe. Think about how utterly unlikely it is that you exist. Think about the nearly infinite collection of quantum processes stretching from the Big Bang until today, processes each of which could have turned out that way instead of this way, yielding a universe in which neither you nor I would exist. And yet, against those astounding odds, for a brief moment of time, you exist, as do I. We have each won the most improbable cosmic lottery. Now, look, there are some who would say, there are some who fervently believe that this cosmic lottery fits within a larger, overarching plan that goes beyond the physical. Is that true? I don't know, of course. If it is, it only makes reality that much more wondrous. But focusing on the physical, the fact that we are just collections of particles guided by physical law, to me this compels a radical shift in perspective to a celebration of the fact that our particular particulate arrangement endows us with enviable powers, right? We can think about the past. We can imagine the future. We can take in the universe with mind and body, with reason and emotion, allowing us to figure out astonishing things like how stars shine and light travels, how black holes form and time elapses, allowing for creative achievements from the Ode to Joy finale to the B minor Mass, from the Mona Lisa to Starry Night, from Hamlet to Madame Bovary, all created by minds like yours, like mine, that are just collections of particles that nevertheless can and have and most assuredly will continue to create great beauty, to illuminate great mystery, to experience great wonder, and the fact that bags of particles that were forged in the deep interiors of stars and are guided by universal laws of physics can do all that, should give us all a deep sense of connection, a kind of cosmic communion, a sense that I can summarize with one word: gratitude. Gratitude for being a small, if transient, part of this wondrous unfolding. Gratitude for our capacity to come together in groups that at their best allow us to each realize our potential. Gratitude for our capacity for courage, like that of George Lemaitre, to stand up to authority, to not accept easy answers, and when necessary, to fight for what we believe in. Gratitude, that is, for human existence, for fragile, delicate, difficult, challenging, painful, exhausting, beautiful, exquisite, transcendent human existence, however brief, however evanescent, however fleeting that existence may be. So congratulations to you all, and boldly go forth with compassion, with courage, with gratitude, and with perspective. Thank you very much.